I'm LaTisha of Keeping You in Stitches, which is a consulting firm specializing in tech design, 3D, and fashion education, design and merchandising. Anything fashion, we can teach.
What's one fun fact about you?
I did indoor skydiving and I loved it.
Okay.
I have a video to prove it, and I'm just going to say when you go, keep your mouth closed.
I am Naima Dozier. I run Fearless Threads. It's an accessory brand. We kind of branch out to a little bit of clothes. And I am an educator in the DC metro area. So look me up if you want to learn how to sew. A fun fact about me is I will try any craft at any time. And then I end up with a whole bunch of stuff in my house because I feel like most of it.
So I'm Zahiyya of Cover Me Chic. We do patterns for curvy women, modest fashion aesthetic. We have patterns, we have membership. A fun fact about me, I only buy black socks. At what age did you learn how to sew and what was your first sew?
I believe I learned how to sew when I was like 7 or 8, and my grandmother taught me. She had a sewing machine, and she taught me how to sew. Everyone has watched Different Worlds. I'm sorry, not a different world. It's the Cosby Show. So they had this purple outfit. So I decided to make a purple outfit with these yellow and lime green lapels that was out to here. You couldn't tell me nothing. It was cute.
So that's the first thing you made for yourself.
No, the first thing. Okay, so I just want y'all to remember, this was younger. The first thing I made for myself was a tube top, and I was like, oh, it fits as a skirt. It really didn't, but I tried it.
Naima.
Probably the first clothes I made was in my home ec class. And textiles back then weren't so great. So I made this skirt and tank top, and that was my outfit. And you couldn't tell me I wasn't cute. But the most memorable thing I made was I was my first time going to New York. I must have been probably about 14, 15. And it was a bus trip, but I decided to make a jumpsuit. And it was fabulous. I mean, I still have a love of jumpsuits, but word of advice, don't wear a jumpsuit on a bus trip.
I think the first thing that I made for myself, I was in elementary school, so it was still young, but it was like a jumper because we had to wear uniforms when I was in parochial school and we made our uniform. So that really got me. I was like, well, if we have to make it, why can't I change it up? I just use the same fabric. And that's when I started getting, because, I grew up Muslim. We had to wear these crazy pantaloons and everything was baggy and everything was just, it was whack. I know all of us been, sewing for a really long time, basically all of our lives, right? When did you decide that sewing was going to become a business for you?
After college, because before I was just sewing just to sew. I loved it. It wasn't until after college that I'm like, oh, you know what? You can make money from this, especially going right into the industry directly from school. I actually began to do things on my own for other people sporadically, but it wasn't until I want to say maybe 2020, let's see, 2000 and maybe 10 or 9 when I decided to the business.
I don't know. I always kind of dabbled. I tried a couple of times in high school, and I was going to make clothes for people. But officially launching a business, I think 2011 was the true start of my business, and thinking, hey, I could make a little bit of money off of this.
It was the same for me because I did when I was in high school. I used to make clothes for people, so it was more like a custom thing. It was people in the community. My actually, I'm the oldest of 7 kids, so every Eid, which is the Islamic holiday. So every Eid, like the night before, all of us, everybody in the building used to make clothes. So once I learned how to sew, that became my job. Both my parents knew how to sew. They no longer did it. They like, here, you have to do everything. So I was making clothes for everyone, like 7 outfits, which was crazy, right? I didn't get paid for that, so that's not a business, but I was making clothes for other people. After college, I started a business, and then it just took off from there. So I've been doing this like for like ever. What would you say was the biggest challenge that you overcame when you started to sew?
When I learned how to do a welt pocket, listen, I was like, the lottery. It's like, yes, I got it.
I think ironing in general, and my students crack up because every time they ask me something, I tell them an iron will fix it. things. You said the well pocket and it triggered me. The first time I actually made a perfect fly on a pair of pants was like the moment. And I'm dating us a little bit, but they already know we started businesses in the 1900s. So back then, back in the 1900s, buttonholes weren't quite as easy to make as they are now. So mastering a buttonhole without it being automatic is like scream it from the rooftops. Oh my God, look at what I did. I mean,
I concur with Naima. And you're right. They didn't have all the attachments they have now. I mean, now you can just zip, and you can stop, and they didn't have that when I was learning how to sew. And, it was so crazy that, in the building that I lived in, there were most of the women sewed because, it was like a whole all Muslim building. Most of them sewed. And I used to make clothes and go downstairs to one of the women and ask her to put the buttonholes on for me because it was like I did not touch it. And they didn't have the zipper feet that they have. Now they have the invisible zipper foot and all this other. They didn't have all of that. So we learned the hard way. The last question, and then we're going to wrap it up. What advice would you give to someone who wants to turn their sewing into a business?
Understand that it is a business there, and you do have a customer. You need to find out who's your customer, because your customer will pay your price. They will appreciate it, but also understand that it takes a lot of work and skill. Make sure you are paid.
but to piggyback on that, I will say for every five no that cost too much, there's a one, give me five of them and one in every color. So, just stick with it. It's going to be stops and starts and ups and downs and slow periods and bad markets. And you'll be in spaces where they don't like your aesthetic. They're just not your people.
Know your customer, know your price point, and then marketing is a big thing. I've been in this thing for like ever, and I'm still learning things about marketing because it's always changing. I mean, stay with it. It's challenging, but it's also rewarding. So I would definitely stay with it.
Just always remember, I always think of what Fat Joe said, yesterday's price is not today's price. You always have to remember that you're going to evolve and your prices are going to evolve. The more skill you have, the more expensive you are.
So that's it for us. I'm Zahiyya from Cover Me Chic, along with
LaTisha from Keeping You in Stitches.
And Naima from Fearless Threads.
See you next time.